The skeletal system. The skeletal system has 5 main functions. These include support. The skeleton provides the main framework for holding the body up. Protection. Parts of the skeleton, such as the ribs, protect our main organs. Movement. The joints between our bones allow us to have mobility. Mineral storage. The bone marrow stores minerals and fats. Red blood cells. The bone marrow produces red blood cells for respiration. This can be remembered by SPMMR. Some people make me raw. Bones in the axial skeleton. The vertebral column, also known as the spine, is an irregular bone made of 34 bones. It is to the medial posterior of the body and is superior to the pelvis. The ribs are flat bones which protect your main organs. They are to the anterior of the body, inferior to the cranium. 24 ribs make up the rib cage. The cranium, also known as the skull, is a medial structure made up of 8 bones fused together. It is a flat bone and is superior to the vertebral column. The clavicle, known as the collarbone, is the only horizontal long bone in the body. It makes part of the shoulder and is superior to the rib cage. The sternum is a medial flat bone inferior to the cranium. It is part of the rib cage and so helps to protect the organs. The cervical vertebrae is the upper section of the vertebral column and consists of 7 bones. It is an irregular bone inferior to the cranium. The thoracic vertebrae is the midsection of the vertebral column and it consists of 12 bones. It is irregular and inferior to the cervical vertebrae to the posterior side of the body. The lumbar vertebrae is the lower section of the vertebrae column. It consists of 5 bones and is irregular. It is inferior to the thoracic vertebrae and are the largest section of the vertebral column. The sacrum is an irregular bone inferior to the lumbar vertebrae. It consists of 5 fused bones and is the base of the spine. The coccyx, or tailbone, is an irregular bone at the end of the vertebral column. It is inferior to the sacrum and consists of 4 fused bones. Bones in the appendicular skeleton. The scapula is the shoulder blade and connects to the humerus. It is a flat bone to the posterior of the body, superior to the pelvis. The phalanges are the finger and toe bones in the hands and feet. There are 3 in each finger and 2 in the thumb. They are long, inferior to the ulna. The humerus, sometimes called the funny bone, is a long bone superior to the radius and ulna in the arm. It is vital for movement. The radius is a long bone in the arm, inferior to the humerus. It is part of the elbow joint. The ulna is a long bone in the forearm that runs alongside the radius. It is inferior to the humerus on the medial side. The carpals are found in the wrist, superior to the phalanges. They are flat bones and there are 8 in each hand. Metacarpals are long bones in the hand that are numbered from the medial side. They are inferior to the carpals and there are 5 in each hand. The tarsals are located in the ankle, inferior to the tibia. There are 7 in each foot and they are flat bones. The metatarsals are long bones found in the foot, superior to the phalanges, and there are 5 in each foot. The ilium is the largest bone in the pelvis and is superior to the ischium. It is a flat bone that forms the hips. The ischium is located in the pelvis, inferior to the ilium and to the posterior of the body. It is an irregular bone that joins to the femur. The pubis is part of the pelvis and found inferior and anterior to the ilium. It is an irregular bone. The femur, or thigh bone, is a long bone and is the longest and strongest in the body. It is found in the leg, superior to the tibia. It is the closest to the center of the body and is joined to the pelvis. The patella, or kneecap, is the largest sesamoid bone in the body. It is superior to the fibula and to the anterior of the body, protecting the joint in the knee. The tibia, also known as the shin bone, is a long bone in the lower leg. It is inferior to the femur and to the anterior of the body. The fibula is found in the lower leg, proximal to the tibia. It is a long bone to the posterior of the body and is inferior to the femur. Synovial joints. All synovial joints have the same components. This includes cartilage, which reduces friction and acts as a shock absorber, synovial fluid, which lubricates the joints, synovial membrane, which produces synovial fluid, ligament, which joins bone to bone, tendon, which joins muscle to bone, and muscle, which operates the joint, and fibrous joint capsules. The hinge joint is the location where two long bones meet in a hinge structure. The hinge joint allows flexion and extension or backwards and forwards movement. The hinge joint can be found in the elbow connecting the ulna and humerus and knee connecting the femur and the tibia. The hinge joint is used in the elbow when lifting weights or in the knee when kicking a football. The ball and socket joint is located where a cup and a ball-shaped bone meet. This type of joint allows for the most movement. The ball and socket joint allows abduction, adduction, flexion, extension, and rotation. The ball and socket joint can be found in the shoulder and the hip. The ball and socket joint is used to perform an overhead shot in tennis. The saddle joint is the location where two concave bones meet and link into one another like a horse and rider. The saddle joint allows flexion, extension, abduction, adduction movement. The saddle joint can be found in the base of your thumb. The saddle joint is used when gripping the bat in cricket. The pivot joint is the location where the end of a bone meets a ring-shaped bone. The pivot joint allows rotational movement. The pivot joint can be found in the neck and in the elbow. The pivot joint is used when looking for a teammate to pass to in rugby. The gliding joint is where two bones meet with no structure but just move over one another. The gliding joint allows rotation, flexion, and extension. The gliding joint can be found in the hands and feet. The gliding joint is used to make a fist during boxing. The ellipsoid joint or condyloid joint looks like an oval-shaped ball and socket joint with a rounded bone that fits into a cavity. The ellipsoid joint allows abduction, adduction, rotation, flexion, and extension. The ellipsoid joint can be found in the ankles and wrists. The ellipsoid joint is used during sprinting when you place and pick up your foot. Slightly movable joints. Slightly movable joints are joined by pads of cartilage between bones that the bones rest on. It doesn't allow much movement, but small amounts are possible. Slightly movable joints are formed between the bones in the vertebral column. Slightly movable joints are used in gymnastics. Fixed joints. Fixed joints look like plates that have been melted into one another with fibrous tissue. Fixed joints allow no movement. The joints in your skull are the fixed joints. These joints are not used very often, but are used when heading a ball. The biceps are found in the upper arm. They are to the anterior of the humerus and inferior to the deltoids. The triceps are found in the upper arm. They are to the posterior of the humerus and inferior to the deltoids. The deltoids are found in the shoulder to both the anterior and posterior of the scapula, superior to the biceps and triceps. The pectorals are found in the chest, and they are to the anterior of the rib cage and are superior to the abdominals. The abdominals are found in the lower torso to the anterior of the ribs and are inferior to the pectorals. The erector spinae is found in the back. It is posterior to the vertebral column and is superior to the gluteus maximus. The quadriceps are found in the upper leg, anterior to the femur and inferior to the erector spinae. The hamstrings are found in the upper leg to the posterior of the femur and inferior to the erector spinae. The gastrocnemius is found in the lower leg to the posterior of the tibia and fibula and is inferior to the hamstrings. The soleus is found in the lower leg to the posterior and lateral side of the fibula. It is inferior to the quadriceps. The tibialis anterior is found in the lower leg anterior to the tibia. It is inferior to the quadriceps. The teres major is found under the arm on the lateral side of the rib cage. It is superior to the abdominals. The trapezius is found in the shoulder to the posterior of the clavicle and is superior to the erector spinae. The latimus dorsi is found in the back to the lateral side of the vertebral column and is inferior to the trapezius. The obliques are found to the lateral side of the abdominals and is inferior to the pectorials. The gluteus maximus is found to the posterior side of the pelvis and is superior to the quadriceps.